well, and connections are good. So I appreciate the feedback. So Home Staging Talk Show Live is a weekly conversation with people in the industry, even people out of the industry, just talking about business success, what's working, challenges we might be facing, etc. And we got some great guests that we've interviewed. This is episode 95. And you can find all of our past episodes on homestagingtalk.com or on our YouTube channel, which this is actually live streaming right now to our YouTube channel and our Facebook Home Staging Talk page, which is pretty cool. So I always like to start off giving some announcements. And so, of course, we're going to show you our 2020 IHOS virtual conference and expo. And so we are really excited to be bringing this to everybody in the industry September 29th, 30th, and October 1st. And so it is virtual, which means you'll be joining us from your laptop or your phone or your desktop. However, it's not just a bunch of talking heads, which we're really, it's important that it's interactive, it's informative, it's interesting to hold your attention. So we've got some different things planned than what you might have seen in some other conferences. Hey, Sherry, thank you for joining us. And as you guys come on, if you want to go ahead and share the segment with others, that would be great. You can share it to your profile. It helps us reach as many people as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and play this promo in here. Let's see, where is it? I've got Melissa Galt joining us today, and then also Amy Powers was supposed to join us today, but her daughter, she has an urgent, she's an urgent care. Her daughter fell, may need stitches, so she's not today. We'll have to reschedule with Amy. All right, so let's show this one first. Let me do this. There we go. Okay, let's see if I can get it to play. I don't see it playing. That's weird. Okay, so it's not playing up here. I don't know. Can you guys tell me if you see a video playing or if it's just this picture? That'll help me to know whether or not this is working. I have a feeling it's not working. Melissa, what do you see? Do you see anything?
Okay, it's Jenny Norris.
There we go.
Coming to you
Okay, let me do that again then. Okay, so I've got two things happening here. Oh, there we go. Sorry, let's do this one. Oh, that's why I'm playing the wrong. And so this is what happens when you are hosting the show. So I uploaded this video, but I'm clicking on the one that isn't even showing in the stream. And that's why it's playing. This is why somebody helping produce the show. Okay, so we're going to start over. Here we go.
Denver, Colorado. Hey, join me September 29th, 30th, and October 1st for IHOS virtual conference and expo, where I'll be sharing on pricing and mindset strategy. And I know.
Okay, let me start over. I'm going to hide this. All right, let's try this again. Okay, I'm going to show and stream. I'm going to do this little thing here. Okay, now let's see if it'll play.
Hey, it's Jenny Norris coming to you from Denver, Colorado. Hey, join me September 29th, 30th, and October 1st for IHOS virtual conference and expo, where I'll be sharing on pricing and mindset strategy. And I know 2020 got weird. We're still staging though, and I know you're still staging, so we still need to learn and grow and also connect. So go get your ticket. Right now, go to ihosvirtualconexpo.com and register today.
All right, so anyway, Joseph Hecker is producing our show, so that's a little teaser. You'll see these online. We also have our vendors that are doing like QVC moments, so I have an ad that I'll be playing. So I don't know how that turned out. If you guys could hear that, or was there like two voices over it? So I muted my computer so you wouldn't necessarily hear my side of things, but I don't know how it sounded on your end. So somebody let me know. That would be great. That would be very helpful to me. And then, of course, we have our keynote speakers. So you get 3 for the price of 1. So ihosvirtualconexpo.com is the website. So we get Chris Widener, and his date is actually going to be September 29th. So he'll be kicking off on Tuesday the 29th. He'll be wrapping up the day. He'll be our keynote for business, and he'll be talking on the art of influence and leadership. And then on September 30th, Johnny Fowler will be our marketing keynote. And so he'll be sharing, he talks faster than I do, and he's so knowledgeable about social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, how to get the best exposure, how to bypass some of their algorithms. Very smart on using those platforms. He's going to be sharing with us as our marketing keynote. Then on October 1st is our designation, which is the IHOS Cultural Diversity Expert, which we selected long ago to be part of this conference, and not knowing everything that was going to be happening in the world and in our country. So it's very timely. So Ravi will be the keynote speaker for that session that will have 4 other speakers sharing on their cultures and how to work with them, things that we need to know to be just aware, sensitive, or just educated about these different cultures. So Deborah Plowden will be speaking on the Black culture, and Kevin Tain will be speaking to the Asian culture and also sharing about feng shui. And then I have Deepti Nayar, who will be talking about the East Indian culture, and then Orlando Reyes will be speaking on the Hispanic culture. So that's going to be a really great session on October 1st. You won't want to miss that. That's a designation. Our events are always, if you're there live, we call it a getaway with the takeaway, because it's not just going and learning, it's also receiving credentials that matter and will help you in your business. And so also on October 1st will be our industry awards. So you have until August 31st. August 31st is the deadline to submit. And so emails have gone out on this, and it's on social media. So you have to fill out a form, upload your pictures. There's various categories, and no late submissions will be accepted. So the cutoff is the 31st at midnight, and that allows us time to gather things together and then have voting done by committee and also independent people taking a look. So it's subjective. And so categories: top vacant luxury, top vacant or best vacant regular, best vacant small square footage. So those are the vacant categories. We have best occupied regular, best occupied luxury staging. Then we have top individual stagers. So these are stagers who stage, they don't have anybody else on their team. You can have movers and so forth, but you don't have any other team members as far as stagers on your team. And then you have the team recognition. So you have small team, which is 4 stagers or less on the team, 2 to 4, and then large is 5+ stagers. So this is not movers and admin people and so forth. These are people that are actually doing the work and staging. So they could be staging assistants, they could be, full-fledged stagers, but these are stagers who are on your team. So those are the team awards. And then we have also the individual awards. We have the Rising Star, and that recognizes the individual who has been in the business a short period of time, usually about a year, and is doing a great job. And we expect them to be a star in the industry. So that's a really great award. Carl Desmukes won that, or he was nominated last year, and so was Lauren, and Alana Spaeth won it for the Rising Star. So let's see. We also have the chapter of the year, the IHOS chapter of the year. So you need to nominate the chapter, upload a picture of the chapter in the area. So that's going to be very exciting to see who our chapter of the year is this year. I created a new award. It's called the Trailblazer Award. And these are for people that are doing things in the industry, like blazing a trail. It could be an educator. It could be a business coach. It could be somebody who's just making a difference, blazing a trail in the industry. We want to recognize those people. So that's going to be very exciting. The IHOS Spirit Award, that goes to an individual who encompasses the spirit of our association. We call ourselves Your Family. We are like a family. So your home in the home staging industry is one of our slogans. And so this person is someone who has served in the association, serves the industry, has set a great example for others, just has a heart of helping other people and warmth and compassion. So that's the IHOS Spirit Award. And then the Barb Schwartz Staging Award of Excellence, that goes to the individual who has demonstrated excellence in their staging work. Again, within the industry, someone who has shown leadership, encouraged, mentored other people. And so that is an individual award as well. So lots of potential recognition and awards. And we don't have just one winner in each category. The individual awards, just one person wins. but the vacant, occupied, those awards, there could be multiple people who can be recognized and awarded. And that blue tape is just random. Sorry, Alec. So the team's loading up for staging, and there's a random piece of blue tape on a piece of furniture that's not going. So, but anyway, so the Staging Industry Awards, again, August 31st is the deadline. And so you can go to ihosp.com and find the link to find the awards. I believe the website is stagingindustry.awards.com, and I will confirm that as we have our show going. So you can be able to submit there. And again, no late submissions. Last year, I had to keep the award submissions open. I had to reopen them twice for people who are very established in the industry and just didn't get their stuff turned in. And so I will not be doing that this year, because it's a deadline is a deadline, and we have a lot going on. So we have to get this done. And hopefully those of you that are submitting, you have, you are ready, you have things prepared. And we only have 2 submissions per category and no links allowed. You have to actually upload the photos. We can actually take a look at those. So if you guys have any questions, you can let me know. We are continuing our series, Fear Has 2 Meanings, Forget Everything and Run, or Face Everything and Rise. The choice is yours, the choice is ours. And I just love this saying. And so we've been using this for the last couple of months because it is true. And it is kind of scary times right now with uncertainty and predictions of, more shutdowns and so forth, possibly with COVID as we turn into the fall and winter, which I really hope doesn't happen. But, we can either let fear paralyze us and hold us back to the point where we are inactive. We're not doing anything. We're just worrying, which worry is a wasted emotion because it causes stress, and stress is useless. So, or you can face everything and rise to the challenge. So I'm not negating concerns people may have about finances and livelihood and so forth. Those are all very real, but it's how we decide to face the challenges. And so one of the things that, we had encouraged people when this happened is to make sure that you have niche services that are outside of the resale market as far as staging. And so Amy was going to speak to one of those niches, and she will be talking on that at the conference. We have a whole panel of people sharing on other facets of business income that you can earn as a stager and how to get that going. So we've targeted short-term rentals, working with seniors, and that could be helping them move from their current home, but also getting them set up in assisted living or senior home or what have you. And then remodeling and renovating. Karen Mendenhall will be speaking to that. And then Blair Hamady will be talking about retail, because he does have about 4 or 5 retail stores. So that'll be very exciting. So that's just one of our topics at the conference. And if you haven't taken a look to see what we are teaching on, you can go to ihosp.virtualconexpo.com and you can see the whole agenda, the speakers, the lineup, and so forth. And Joseph Hecker, again, is producing this. So we have a lot of really great things planned. There will be Q&A with the speakers that you'll be able to interact with live. Our vendors, of course, will get a lot of really great exposure, and they'll have specials running during the show that will only be available to those that are registered. So don't wait to get your ticket, and go to virtualconexpo.com to get that. All right. The Advanced Stager Training session, we're looking at I think it's the beginning of February for this. And I'm just going to look at my calendar here. Right around, I think, like the 5th, 6th, 7th, that weekend. Now, it's not set in stone, but that's kind of what I'm targeting, because it's early enough in the year that things hopefully won't be too crazy. I will take a look at Vegas market dates, though, because that might be too close to that. So maybe we'll move it to the following weekend. But anyhow, we're hoping to do it in February, and shooting for Florida. So someplace warm, which is a nice getaway. And it's a 2-day session for those who are 6 figures and above stagers. So if you're not there yet, set a goal to get there, because it's a very interactive workshop style training. So it's not like somebody standing up and just lecturing to you. There's a lot of interaction with your colleagues, small group breakout sessions, and so forth. And multiple industry leaders will be sharing. So this will be the 3rd time that we're doing this. And we've had as many as 6 industry leaders sharing various topics. And so that'll be the plan again, is to have different people teaching different topics that you need to know about, and to get your business to grow beyond just the basic beginning of 6 figures, to get it to go well into the 6 and into the 7 figures as well. So how do you do that? And there's a lot of benefit in collaborating and talking to your colleagues. So you'll learn more about that. We'll be sending all information on that as we firm up the details. That's usually offered right after our conference, the conference when it's live. So that's why we're not doing it this year in that format. Okay, I think that's everything. So I'm going to bring Melissa on, and we're going to chat. And again, Amy, I hope your daughter's okay, and we'll get you rescheduled for another session. Hey, Melissa.
Good morning, Jenny. How are you?
Good, good. So for those people who don't know who you are, go ahead and share a little bit about your background and where you're from.
I am currently from Scottsdale, Arizona, 30 years in Atlanta until last November. I'm thrilled to be here. And I am a business coach and marketing consultant to interior designers and stagers, both nationwide and around the world, because I've got clients internationally, which is an awful lot of fun. And before I forget, on the last topic that you just shared, there are 2 additional niches that stagers might want to explore, because some of my stagers are exploring these and having really great success with them. One is corporate apartments, executive apartments, because this is at the higher level. And then the other one is pro athletes, because pro athletes will move into a town for 6 months and then they might move home again. One of my clients happens to be located in Tampa, and she has found an inn with the pro athletes there, and it's proved to be a really great scenario for her. Sorry, Kitty wants to say hello. Say hello, Kitty.
Pretty.
Yeah, the minute I do anything with video, she's up on the desk. So she had her cameo moment. Now she'll be fine.
What's her name?
Her name is TC. It stands for Tiny Cat, and currently it stands for Too Chubby. She picked up some quarantine weight.
So the freshman 15 is the COVID 15, right?
Yeah, it is the COVID 15. I've managed to. I was climbing at one point, and I was like, can't do this. Especially now that I've got, I'm down with the ankle, so it's like, ooh. But it's all good. I found all sorts of interesting things online that I can order instead of eating junk food.
Right, which is true. Hey, Leah.
Okay.
So you used to stage, and so at what point did you transition into doing the mentoring and coaching and writing books?
I've been mentoring and coaching officially for 15 years, unofficially for longer than that. I do still design. I have staged, and I've done consultations as recently as in the last couple of years, because I did a presentation to a real estate office in Atlanta. And what I did apparently is a bit different than what they were used to. They're used to stagers coming in and pitching them and telling them about their services. And I didn't do that. I went in and did a presentation strictly on the top 10 trends that will sell homes more, that they need to be aware of. It was incredibly short. I think originally I was given 5 minutes. I expanded to 15.
I love that. They had to cut, like at 3 minutes, they're starting to come up on you,
Yeah, it was tough, but it got a lot of conversation going, and I got a lot of inquiries from it. And so it was really interesting. And I think if you can present something like that has such high value, and if you were to do it on a quarterly basis, that's going to get you in the door on a consistent basis, because the trends do change that frequently, right? Especially now. So,
and Joanne Leonard Reary and Sandra Reyes will be talking on trends. So their topic is a stiletto approach to trends with a work boot mindset.
Yeah, love that.
Talk about not only the trends, but also how to incorporate that in your business. So that's another niche that people can do, home makeovers and so forth. And I totally agree. Anytime anybody goes to an office, they don't really care about how fabulous your things are, and you up there talking about how great your staging is. They want to know what's in it for me and how it can help them. So providing something of value. So the trends that's a great one to talk about. And that way then, and it's helpful to them. So then they're going to remember that you're positioning yourself as an expert versus just someone up there pitching your company. Exactly.
That makes a big, big difference. That and being friendly with media. Staying in the media, having a syndicated column is, again, one of my stagers has managed to do that. And she also lands herself on TV quite frequently, which is incredible visibility. People recognize her, they know her name, they know the company name, and all that makes a huge, huge difference.
So people watching, they're going to go, what do you mean syndicated? What does that mean?
Syndicated means you have a weekly or monthly column in a publication. You are a featured regular contributor to that publication. In her case, it happens to be her local market, which is what matters the most for her. But in other cases, you can be syndicated across the country. There are writers that you are reading about or reading their contributions that might be located in New York, but they're syndicated across the country. And that's what really makes a difference, and it gets their expertise out there for a much wider audience.
Yeah, so some publications people might think about, there could be a local, your town or your city publication that could be about the Chamber of Commerce. It could be a real estate related magazine that's out. The Business Journal, that's always a good one to pursue. That one might be a little bit harder to get into, but Business Journal is in almost every major city. I write for Inman and also for NAR's Styled and Sold magazine. They ask for contributors for that. So it's just a good way to get exposure and get out there and get visibility for your name, and again, positioning yourself as an expert. So great tip.
Yeah, there's also a space to play in with that has to do with the lifestyle publications. If you're not sure where to look at the lifestyle publications in your local market, and also look at Voyage. And we had Voyage ATL, we have Voyage Phoenix, we had Voyage LA, Voyage Chicago. They're in the major cities. It's an online publication, and you write your own article by answering their questions, and then they just push the button and turn it into a digital magazine with you featured. Which is kind of cool. And then there's another one called Curbed, which is across the country in a newspaper format. And they are always looking for great stories. So sometimes your personal story is a great way to land valuable PR. Your personal points of connection are what you really want to be leveraging as points of profit anyway.
Yeah. I remember I did early on, trying to figure out ways to advertise business, like what's going to work, what's not going to work. And I knew ads are very expensive and people have to see you like 30 times for it to resonate. So I did what they called an advertorial. So it was an article that was in a home improvement magazine. So it's another one that's a good target. Any kind of home improvement where people are looking for flooring and fixtures, and they have a lot of those that are out there. So I had an advertorial. So it was an article. So it didn't come across as total promotional ad, and ran that, and I got a lot of really good feedback, mostly from this was years ago in Sacramento when staging was just taking off. So a lot of people read it and like, I want to do what you do. How do I get started? So I sent just from that article probably about 50 people who wanted to become stagers. So I created this whole competition, if you will, but that's okay because there's no way that one person could stage an entire city. And probably realtors and stuff read it as well, but you always want to, you're testing different avenues for getting marketing exposure. And I think anytime you can get your name out there and be positioned as an expert, it could even be as simple as, if a real estate agent or a title company or a lender has a newsletter they're sending out, and you can write a little blurb in there, just a tip of the month or whatever it is. And then again, gets you positioned as an expert and gets you some exposure. So that's really good.
And Jenny, the other way to do that is if you build your own list, you do a cross promotion with them and you do a swap. And that's infinitely more valuable because then they see value in sharing a bit of content in yours and you get it in theirs. And if you do that often enough and with enough partners, you really expand your reach exponentially. So there's a lot to be said for building your own list of potential clients and clients both.
Yeah. And so in the marketing book that I wrote in 2012, I call that cross-pollination, like a bee, like cross-pollination marketing. And it's the smartest way to go is to work your warm referral network. And I think a lot of stagers, they get into the business, they like the idea of making things look pretty, but they've never run a business. They don't know how to market. They're scared to death about, sales. They don't know how to close the sale. And they're afraid to put themselves out there. And so people forget about their warm referral network. And I'm like, gosh, if I moved both times I built my companies, we didn't know anybody. So I hit them both cold cold calling, cold, networking and so forth, didn't have a warm referral network. So if anybody has that, you just have to have lived where you live any length of time, asking people who who knows a realtor, or who's the realtor that you like. And then if you have a lender or a title rep, my God, their database is huge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a much smarter way to market. So
it is a smarter way to market. It really is. And connecting with everybody on social media as well, because you never know who's playing where. And some people are easier to reach through social channels than they are through email.
And so in the social media channels, so we'll be talking about Facebook and LinkedIn. Johnny Fowler will touch on that at the conference. And then there's also other platforms. And of course, Instagram now, Facebook owns Instagram. Google, still owns the world when it comes to being found online. People search, and they either search by hashtags or by words. And so Johnny had come on a call. He was on the show, and he also did a call with us. So our generation will type in like, I was looking for, blue sofa with nail heads, blue velvet sofa with nail heads. So I typed that in, and it's going to pull up pictures or different things for that. Now, the younger generation would do hashtag blue velvet, they would do the hashtags. And so the hashtags become super important. People, because I was thinking like, what is what I know what a hashtag is, but like, where does it go? So like within Instagram, it's just basically sort of a gatherer. And I know there's a better word, it begins with an A. But anyhow, it basically it gathers up all the different posts, and you have that same hashtag, and then somebody could type that in, you'll see all the different posts for that. And it's the same thing with Facebook. If you type in the hashtag, you'll see different posts that relate to that particular hashtag. So publicly, though, when somebody is looking for it, your Facebook page doesn't show up. I mean, I've never seen my Facebook page show up in rankings, right? Because it's public, but it might not be as optimized. You know what I'm saying? So it's not. So websites will show up. Profiles and other platforms that are publicly promoted will show up. So, and I don't know, maybe Johnny will teach us how to get your business page to move up higher. I think he talks more about the engagement with other people and how to have your posts be found and seen. But there's a platform that I've been using, Google My Business, which a lot of people are like, I'm not going to do that. And I'll tell you that replaced Google Plus, which I didn't care about the circles, but Google Plus allowed you to post for free your pictures and so forth, and then hashtag. And I noticed I went way up in the rank because I had 1.2 million views of my profile before I realized what was happening. And so organically, it pushes you up. So are you familiar with Google My Business? Do you ever teach on that? Mm-hmm. And I just know that every time I post on that, I get calls. To me, there's a direct correlation from posting something to that platform with the hashtags and then moving up in the rankings. So that's another topic for another day. But those of you that are watching, if you don't have a profile there, you need to verify your business address and so forth. And that Google sends you a postcard on that. But then you can build a whole website behind it, your services, a platform. It's very professional looking. And then you just post and just be consistent with your posting, and you'll notice a huge uptick in your ranking organically, because I can advertise like anybody else. But when I look on Google and there's ads, I kind of think like, are they really the best? Are they really legit? Because they paid to be where they're listed, right?
Yeah. So, and fueling your Google My Business with fresh reviews on a regular basis really makes a difference too. It's surprising to me always how many local businesses, and staging is always a local business, don't claim their Google business, and they don't flesh that Google My Business out. It's really surprising.
Yeah, and and June Carter, who's our business coach for the association, she did the master's course, and that was right when Google Plus was disappearing because they had a security breach. It was all about money, and I already know that. Google wants us to advertise. So I'm like, now what? What am I going to use? And she's like, she told me about that, and I had seen it, but I hadn't really created the profiles. But I had noticed a huge difference, and that's my tip of the day. Those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, you can Google My Business.
I'm glad to hear it's working well for you.
Awesome. When you Google something, you have the results show up on the page, but there's all the white space on the right-hand side, and Google has to put something there. And so that's where your information will go at no charge to you when people are searching, and they, and so forth. So they have to fill that space. That was part of this whole method, or the madness behind Google, why Google My Business has become so important. So, Well, let's talk about your topics at conference. So one of them is on mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to just give them like a little sneak peek, not give it all away. Let's talk about your, why is mindset so important?
Mindset's everything. It's the underpinning of, whether you're going to succeed or fail, because it's how you think about things. And the interesting part is, while it sounds like it would be easy to change your thinking, it's as simple as a thought away. It's one of the hardest things in the world to do, because our brains are pattern-loving machines. And our brain is not discerning. It does not recognize happy, healthy patterns versus unhappy, unhealthy patterns. It just recognizes patterns. And it likes to keep the patterns the same, which is why when we think 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day, 90% of those are the same thoughts we thought yesterday and the day before and the day before. So changing your mind is actually one of the hardest things you'll do. And it's one of the most important things you'll do, because your thoughts populate your life and your business with results or lack thereof. So that's kind of the trick.
And so it's not just the things we say out loud audibly, it's the thoughts that we don't say. We have that voice in our head, our self-talk.
Mm-hmm. A lot of it's self-talk. And self-talk, I have a little process that I use with clients. I give them a cause band. Mine happens to be teal, not surprisingly so. And I tell them, every time you think this particular thought, I want you to snap that band against the inside of your wrist. And I said, by the end of day one, you're going to be bruised. If you keep up those same thoughts, by the end of the week, you're going to be bloodied. And you're going to have a lesson on your hands. But if you don't start creating this reminder of, I need to stop thinking that, I need to stop thinking that, you won't stop thinking it. And instead, you'll remain stuck in the same spin, because our brain is also made up of neural pathways. And we have the ability to change our neural pathways, but it's not snap your fingers quick. It takes time. It's changing the thought habits, which have become beliefs, that we now have to change. And that's so the core of mindset.
I bet Shad Helmstetter, is that a name you recognize? Dr. Shad Helmstetter. So he wrote
I know Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Shad wrote What to Say When You Talk to Yourself and the Self-Talk Solution.
I do know those books.
Yeah, I heard him speak years ago, and he brought out, and I when I teach the courses, we go over this, because self-talk is so important, because it can totally sabotage people's success. Mm-hmm. So I remember he whipped out a keyboard on stage, and he said, imagine that every message you've ever heard from the time you were born, from family members, friends, teachers, coworkers, whoever, has been programmed into your brain. And he typed on the keyboard. He goes, but on this keyboard, there is no delete key. Mm-hmm. So once it's in here, we have the choice of whether we're going to listen to it or not. Mm-hmm. And it can go back to even, childhood, the old tapes. Psychologists will say, the old tapes, who are you listening to? And if it's phrased in a negative way, rephrase it. Mm-hmm. So I use a really simple example of your subconscious can't take a joke, and it doesn't, know who you do or don't. So you're sitting at the table, you're a kid, and your parent says, don't spill your juice. And then literally seconds later, you knock it over and you're so clumsy. I told you not to do that. Well, you carried out what you were told, because your subconscious was spill the juice. So the way it could be rephrased is hold it carefully. Mm-hmm. Right? Exactly. So just rephrase something and make it the positive outcome you want, not the negative thing you're trying to avoid. Right? So but it does take conscious. It's becoming really aware of, first of all, what are you saying to yourself consciously, listening to that, and then changing the dialogue. So it's what do they say? 21 days to a new habit.
It is 21 days, and it only takes 7 to break one, which is kind of tragic. And then there's also, do you know the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins?
No, what is that?
It's scientifically proven that when you have a new idea or you want to change something, you have 5 seconds, just 5 seconds. So in other words, the easiest one is if you're in bed and you're thinking, I'm going to get up earlier, I'm going to get up earlier, I'm going to get up earlier. You set your alarm and you hear the alarm. You have 5 seconds to swing your legs out of the bed, flip the light on, and move, or you're going to hit the snooze. So if you're a snooze tapper, you're violating the 5 seconds and going right back in. And I'm guilty of this. I'm aware of it. Okay, I don't do it all the time, thank goodness. But It's just as if you have a great idea about something, if you don't take action on it in 5 seconds, whether it's writing it down, calling a friend, sending an email, the idea is going to be gone forever.
That's very true. That's right. I text myself stuff all the time. Like even last night, my son was talking to me about, the stagers and, financial planning and different things with them. And I said, there should be, we have emails that go out once they take a class, but then I thought there should be more that promotes other aspects of the business they might need, like if they need a specific pricing help or whatever. We have all these things developed. And I'm like, there should be email trickles that go out. We use Constant Contact, but there's another method I can use. And so I texted myself that because I wouldn't have remembered it today had I not written it down. So texting has become my very good friend, because my brain is too full of, because we have so much going on. And it can be hard to compartmentalize too. People go through challenges, life challenges and so forth. We've had a lot this year, like a lot of other people, from people dying that we weren't expecting to just situations with family and in-laws and so forth that we weren't anticipating. And one rainbow, if I could say this, bright spot is we closed on a house last Tuesday. And so that was like,
it's exciting. I know. Congratulations.
We have been out of the game for a decade, and we were homeowners for 20 years. And then when the market collapsed, we were living in Sacramento, and houses were like 70% underwater. So our mortgage actually ballooned 4 points in 1 year, which I don't think was legal. We had it fixed when we moved in, and we pulled money out to put in the backyard and work with the fireman, who was a lender on the side. So I learned a hard lesson there. It's like, you don't work with a hobbyist for something that important. And we were tied to LIBOR index. And so while other people's rates were, dropping or whatever, ours skyrocketed. And so we were paying an astronomical amount for a depreciating asset. And we just said, we'd always wanted to move to Colorado. We'd planned to do that in 1998 when I got pregnant with number 4 on New Year's Eve. And so that's where we stayed in California for a little bit longer, but it just delayed our plans about 10 years. And that's when we decided to move out here. And, but back then there was a 3-year penalty for short sale and a 7-year for foreclosure. So we short sold. So I couldn't get anything. I couldn't get a credit card. The only one I was ever offered was 76% interest, which was like, forget you. I would never do that. I'm not that desperate. And so we picked up, moved, started cold, how to build a business. 2012 Thanksgiving, which was exactly 3 years moving, I ended up at Kohl's Black Friday, and I'm in this huge line wrapping around the store. I'm like way in the back, and this person's like, who wants to open up a Kohl's account? And I said, I tried. I said, then I can't get a card. They go, let's try again, honey. And so she takes me past all those people, which I'm like, they're going to get so mad at me, and open up an account. And it went through. So that was my very first card. And then from that point, our kids were entering college. Then it became about scraping together the down payment. So it's been 10 years of renting. And I know there's a lot of people who do rent. I feel like there's a lot of stigma with people who say it's like, I'm ashamed that we were renting. I shouldn't have to feel that way. But I think a lot of renters are terrible. They destroy houses and so forth. And we made improvements. We scraped the ceilings in this last house and we added lighting. We actually made the house more livable. Took care of it, fixed up the yard. The yard was trash. And so we invest in the properties. But anyhow, so it's been 10 years. But being self-employed, thank you, Vanetta, I appreciate it. The lenders, my gosh, the underwriters and so forth, being self-employed. So for those of you that are in the industry and let's say you're going to refinance or purchase, it's an ordeal. I was like document after document after document. I thought they were going to ask me for a vial of blood. That was the next thing. I'm like, what else can I give you to prove that I'm a good person? And they were, we're a good financial, we can make our payments and stuff. So anyhow, we did close on Tuesday. So it's kind of weird. I got to pack up the house. I'm not looking forward to.
Well, you're a pro at it.
I am. Yeah. I mean, it's like, if it was just like the furnitures, it was all the little stuff. And because there's at least where we are, a lot of the donation places are not open. I've got piles of stuff that I don't necessarily want to dump it. I want to take it to the dump, but because it's good stuff, but everything's been closed. So I got to find out if
Goodwills are open here.
All your donation places are?
Our Goodwills and our consignment stores are also open.
So I'll try Goodwill. I was going to like ARC. They're closed here. I was in the Salvation Army. I like to donate. Goodwill. I've gone to Goodwill. I have a thing with the guy that runs that. He's very wealthy. I don't think he pays his people enough that work the stores. That's just my little opinion. But
you know,
and that's big money. So you actually have 2 sessions
mm-hmm.
on our talk. I'm just looking at your official topic. First one of them is how to be the CEO of your staging firm and escape the trap of being the chief employee. Boy, do I need to hear that.
Yeah, it's a big trap. I mean, it is. And there's this badge that stagers like to wear on their sleeve saying, I'm busy. I'm so busy. I can do it all. I can do it all. I'm like, yeah, there's no badge. Give up the badge.
We need to delegate. And so I had 7 stagers on the team, and now I'm down to, there's 3. Because so my daughter and her boyfriend, so he moved to Charleston. I got him a job with a stager, or helped him get connected with the stager there. So he had his first day of work yesterday, the day before. So he's excited. And then my daughter went to California to kind of clear her head, and she may not come back now, which makes me really sad when I think about it, because those 2 are my 2 lead stagers. So those 2 are gone. And then a third one works part-time Pottery Barn and didn't want to work on the team. And so I'm in rebuilding mode. And so I have had to be pulled back into the field, and I had pulled myself out. I had worked my way out of the field. I would still do the business side and the money at this, because I've been burned on the money side, had people embezzle and so forth. So I don't trust others to handle that piece of it. But I didn't have to be the one tagging stuff in the warehouse. And I've driven the truck last week because I had the guy that drives the truck didn't show up. So I'm behind the wheel of the big truck driving it. You do what you got to do as the owner, right? But the goal is to work yourself out of that, work on your business, not in your business.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with control, right? Would you agree that giving up some of the control aspect of feeling like a person has to be part of everything?
You remain in charge, but you release the control.
I like that. So you remain, so say that again. So people
you remain in charge, but you release the control, because the control is the minutia. The control is all the little details, and you need to become the chief visionary officer. And the only way you can do that is by getting enough perspective. So you've got to be far enough removed from it, because if you're in the weeds, you can't see straight. You can't see what's really going on in the business. If you pull back and you get a new perspective, it's kind of like if you've ever been to a major city and you've walked into the ground level of a building and really looked around, and then you've shot straight up to like the 20th or 30th floor, and you look at the view from there, it's quite different.
Right.
Quite different. And if you can get that 20, 30 foot, 30 floor view in your business, you're going to see things completely differently. Your goals will shift and change. How you do things, who you do them with, all of that will shift and change. And you'll be able to have a much clearer vision of what you want to accomplish, how you're going to accomplish it, and start implementing that. And I pull all of my clients off that space where they're calling themselves owners. I want you being a founder and CEO, or if you want to be founder and COO, you can be founder in principle, but I want the word owner out of there, because owner says to me that you're being owned by your business.
Interesting. So that's a great thing for mindset, because I have principal stager and owner as my title, my official title. I'm getting rid of that.
Lose owner. I actually had one of my clients just change her signature line in email recently, and it just shifted how she felt completely.
I think a lot of stagers, we don't know what to call ourselves when we first get started. Am I the president of a company? I mean, because it's sort of like, it's weird, because in the beginning, it's just you, right? And so if you name your company, you get a business license. And so like, what do I call myself? Am I a home stager? Am I like, what's my title? And so I've seen everything from like CEO, president, chief visionary. I'm just, you can have fun with the titles. And so I used to have the staging team members were staging and design specialists. I got rid of the word design because we're not interior designers. And so I thought I don't want to mislead people, but I'm going to change my signature too. That'll be good. I could be, I don't know. I'll figure out something fun.
You can be CSE, Chief Staging Expert.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Or Chief Staging Executive. No,
that's true. Executive Staging Consultant. That's good. So, and then your other topic, I'm going to find it here. So Melissa, for you guys, she'll be speaking on Tuesday. So the first day of our conference is all general sessions. There's no breakouts. everybody who's speaking, everybody who's attending. You'll see everybody who's sharing. So you'll be able to see that topic, which is so important. So we made sure to put it in that day. And then she is doing a breakout session. And these are broken out by levels. So whether you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, or an advanced stager, and it's based on how many years you've been in the business. So she's doing an advanced session on get more done and love your business more, time management mastery. Because you submitted all these topics, I could have you done all of them because they were so wonderful. So get more done and love your business more. So it's all about time management and mastering your schedule and so forth. Just give us a little tidbit on that.
Well, the funny part is you can't actually manage time. You can only manage your behavior around time. Everybody has the same number of hours. So when you start looking at either a competitor or a colleague and you're like, how did they get that much more done than I did? I don't get it. It's because they know how to manage their time better. And we just came off a Make More Monday, which is a one-day virtual event that I run from time to time. And the lesson in that is one of the lessons I teach in time mastery, the Get More Done, is to chunk your work into 90-minute sprints. And don't allow any distractions, any interruptions, no text, no voicemail, no email, no nothing. And you will find that at the end of the day, you will have gotten so much more done by working uninterrupted with 3 singular focuses. You'll have completions instead of a sea of loose ends. And women particularly, and stagers particularly, just like designers, love to beat their chest and say, oh, but I'm a multitasker and I'm a really good multitasker. There's no such thing as a really good multitasker, okay? Multitasking is a disaster. You don't want to do it. And
because remember, like before cell phones came out and so forth, I mean, not even before computers, I was in the workforce. And I remember my very first computer I used was actually in college for my chem lab. So I was like, oh, there's a computer. And so then one of the first jobs I had, Samna, was the first word processing thing I learned to type stuff. And I learned PageMaker and, took classes and so forth because I did marketing and sales. And so, but I remember, being so excited about a pager or the cell phone and even emails. And now they run our lives. And so it's as Monk would say from his show, it's a blessing and a curse, because it's great to have instant access to everything, but it is really distracting. And so one of the reasons I like coming to the warehouse is, especially if the team's not here, is I'm alone versus when I'm at home, my family's there. And so inevitably somebody's going to need something or ask me a question or whatever. And it is really hard to focus on what you need to get done. So I love that chunks of time, no distractions, do the time blocking. And Gary Keller has the book, The One Thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, kind of the same type of thing, like he addresses the multitasking, because we used to think like, oh, I can do all these different things. I feel like I'm accomplishing so much because I'm doing 5 different things at once. Well, you're not doing any one of them well. Mm-hmm. And because your focus is just, you're distracted. So better to get one done, check it off the list, the next one, the next one, the next one. So Virginia Youngblood says, what is your opinion about naming a business with your name in it versus another business name? Your company name.
That's Virginia, that's really your call. When I started out, I named my business a name that had nothing to do with me, because I was thinking in terms of selling it. But it really doesn't matter, because plenty of businesses have been sold that were named the personal name of the person who started it, and they held just as much value, if not more so. So it really is a personal call. The one thing I can tell you is, whatever name you settle on, stick with it. I have changed names twice in nearly 30 years, and each time I lost 18 months of growth because of lack of recognition. And that's really expensive and really painful. So when you get your name, check it out, get with a trademark attorney, make sure you can get the URL, do a search on it to make sure it's not already in use by a bunch of other people or one other person.
Right.
That's what makes the difference. So using your name can sometimes help that if you have an unusual spelling, or if you have a middle initial or something you can leverage. Or maybe you want to go off of that, because in your case, you have an unusual name, I think. But if your name were Jim Smith or Susan Stanley, it might not be the case.
Right.
So that's what you want.
And I had kind of been the mindset of too of like, selling it, not having the name attached to it, but people can use their initials. I mean, there's a lot of things that, like, think about Mary Kay, she's dead. Even Ebby Holiday, she's passed away. Mm-hmm. She's the real estate company out of Texas. And so their brand was so strong that they were able to stick with it. And I also did name changes. My very first company name was Envision Enterprises, because I didn't know what I was going to do. Staging was going to take off. So I did wedding programs. And I remember the worst one I ever did was a bride that wanted paddle fans. So she wanted to try to get the big popsicle sticks, and then they had to be two-sided. So the program for the wedding was printed on both sides, and they were scalloped. So I remember having to cut all those things up by hand, glue them together, and she needed like 200 of them. I know. I remember I had a dent in my finger for like weeks from having to cut all these things out, and people use them as fly swatters and stuff at the thing. So I didn't know what. I was just like, I want to make money. And so that was one venture, and thank God I'm not doing that anymore. But I changed that name to We Stage Sacramento because I got the 888 We Stage phone number. So then that was my company name. And then when I moved here, a former student had We Stage Colorado. So I'm like, okay, I got to pick a different name. Well, now that's available. So I did take it, but I have Sensational Home Staging, and then I have We Stage Colorado as the warehouse, and then We Move Colorado is the moving company. Because there's also, and we probably should have like a CPA on the show at some point to talk about how to spread out your income so your tax liability is not as deep. And the way you do that is the staging company rents from the warehouse hires the movers, and so the money gets dispersed. Yeah. And it's all legal. So I have LLCs for all of them, and can't get a bank account yet. The Chase just opened, so I might go into there. But US Bank is still closed, all branches here. Except for one in a grocery store, which is
interesting.
Yeah. And it's interesting as different states are opening in different methods. So I'm excited for that talk too, because I think it's really super important. As far as time management, all of us struggle with that. And I always say time is the great equalizer.
It is the great equalizer. And the funny thing is there's one massive lesson we can learn from men on this front, because men don't multitask well at all. They're unitaskers. And they get a lot more done for that reason. And the reality is you've got to reclaim your time from your devices. You're in charge of whether or not you respond to text, voicemail, email, and social media. And I really advocate that my clients select a time in the morning, a time in the middle of the day, and a time before the close of the day to respond, unless they know that there's one project they've got going on, one job that might be acting up, and they can check it for that, but they don't respond the rest of the time, and they let their clients know that that's the way they work. Otherwise, you're not in charge of your day, your devices are.
Well, and it's setting professional boundaries with the clients. So as far as, because when we're just say I return phone calls between 11 and 12 and 3 and 4. Mm-hmm. So that's when you're going to get responded back. And so this idea that just because somebody writes to you or texts you that you have to immediately get back to them, like that's urgent. There's nothing that we're dealing with usually in staging that requires that immediate of a response, unless there's an accident or something happened on the property that you do have to get to. But for the most part, your clients need to be taught how you work, and you need to set your boundaries. And I remember having a student in one of my classes once, and she was a realtor, and she said that her mother had passed away. So she was riding in the hearse with her sisters, and she was taking calls from clients. So she was on the phone, doing real estate deals. And I said, I hope you don't mind me sharing this. I said, but you're out of balance. And her sisters were horrified that she was doing business on there. And so her response was, my mom was dead. What else, what am I going to do about it? And so, it's her life. She could do what, she wants, but being out of balance and letting clients control our time so much. And if you have a client that's like that has no respect for your time and constantly texts, I was watching Millionaire Listing, and the Southern California one, so Josh Altman and so forth. And so Tracy has this client that's constantly texting her, and he has a huge portfolio. So the trade-off is this guy that, am I ever going to be able to please this person? Just very, 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 very demanding. And Altman said, I had that client and I dumped him because he just had no boundaries, had no respect for our time, and he'll wear you out. And so we get to pick and choose our clients too. So managing time, there's the book like something about the bullfrog, do that first in the morning. The thing that you dread the most.
Oh yeah, the hardest thing.
and then get past and get to the others. And I'm like, it's not on my calendar. And this is another thing I think KW teaches us. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. So if you don't have an appointment set for a conversation or whatever, then it really doesn't exist in your business. So use your schedulers too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're going to touch on that at conference, your topic. We also have Melissa Morrow and her daughter Lily will be talking about apps, business apps that people can use to make themselves more efficient. And so I know she uses Google Calendar, and there's other
huge Google Calendar fan.
Yeah, I love that because you can color code it.
Yes. Yes.
So Arizona, so how hot is it there right now?
I think we're at 106 today. Not bad. 106
really?
is pretty tolerable. Only when it climbs above 110 that it gets uncomfortable.
Yeah, we've been in the 90s, and I think it's going to start to cool off. I looked at my house, the backyard today, and there's trees that are starting to turn yellow. So it's little hints of fall. And I love fall here. It's really pretty. But last year it snowed in September. We got this freeze. And so then all the trees turned brown and the leaves just fell off. We didn't get any color last fall. So I felt gypped. But yeah, so it'll be, I love Arizona. Are you in Scottsdale or what part of Arizona?
I'm in Scottsdale. View of the mountains. I'm very, very lucky.
Nice. Yeah, and it's dry heat, none of the humidity.
It is dry heat, and that does make a huge difference. I mean, I couldn't sit outside in Atlanta at 85 degrees, but here I can sit outside at 104.
Which is true. Sacramento was hot like Arizona, and when I went to Atlanta market, it was was it August? I think it was either July or August last year. Oh my God, it was just like I don't know. I mean, you walk and my hair just would just like, or my hair when in the humidity puffs up, it gets like bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's just a little crazy. But the skin, the women who are in the climates with the humidity, their skin is really nice because they have the moisture that we don't have. Well, does anybody have any questions for Melissa? We have a couple minutes left. I love you remain in charge, which really is control. So her topic, again, she'll be sharing on Tuesday, general session, then on Wednesday to the advanced level. All the sessions will be recorded, by the way. So even if you're not in an advanced category, you'll be able to watch her session on your own. And so that's going to be on Wednesday. So she'll be speaking on Wednesday, and then we'll have all the sessions recorded so you can catch up and get all the great information. And I know that this is our first time having you at our conference, but I feel like it won't be the last.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it very much so.
And then you mentioned your coaching and so forth. So how can people learn more about what you do? Where should they go? And I'm going to type it.
You can find me on Instagram. I share a lot up there at Melissa Galt. I also have a Facebook group that is open to both designers and stagers. And a lot of what I share applies to both groups. Again, it's interior design business mastery. And we've got a brand new website coming, melissagalt.com. Don't go look now. It's still the old site. It should be up in a couple of weeks. So I'm really excited about that. And we do events, virtual events, of course, now. I'm so waiting to do in-person toe-to-toe events again. I miss that. And I will be at
Yeah, the connection with people. So we're using Neuro, N-E-W-R-O-W for our virtual classes. You can see the students, they can see the trainer, and there's whiteboards, and there's a little bit these features you can use, but you don't have that in-person energy that you get in a class. But so many of the places we teach, they're just, like we just heard from Boston, they're bored. They're not doing any classes in live throughout the rest of the year. And Houston made that call a couple of months ago. So anyhow, so we're staying virtual just to keep everybody safe. It's just, we're all going to look back on this, 15, 10, 20 years from now. I remember, COVID 2020, what were you doing? And
I hope it's not that long. I'd like to be able to look back in 12 months.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm just saying, people remember me like, I remember when 9/11 happened, or the earthquake of 1989 in San Francisco. Yeah. So I remember clearly, those are imprinted in my mind that the day that those happened. So this will be a whole year of, I saw a shirt that was about something about the year, and just basically, nope, not a good one. Let's just move on. Let's just erase it. Let's get to 2021. And but I think we've learned a lot though, too. I think it's the importance of diversification, and being able to respond, not react, but be able to respond and adjust. And the word pivot and transition, these are all words that have, been used, but really became important this year. And being able to shift your process so you don't just go, oh my gosh, I don't have any business. So like the stagers, they specialized in bacon. If your market shut down, you weren't an essential business, or you didn't want to go into people's houses and you were doing consultations, well, how do you reinvent that? And so I don't think the digital offerings are going to go away. I think that we'll continue to offer virtual classes. I think people can continue to do virtual consultations. You can now do them for anybody anywhere around the world. You could do color assessments and so forth. So I think it's a new way of doing business, but that human interaction, I don't think will ever go away. And I am looking forward to being able to hug everybody. I miss that. I think it's the connection. I miss my friends. I miss my colleagues.
Yeah.
And it's to go a whole year without being able to really see anybody has been rough.
We all do. We all do.
Well, I am happy to have you join us today, and I'll have to have you back on in the future because you have so much that you are knowledgeable about. And those of you that are watching now or in the future, share this segment with others. We want to reach as many people as possible, and I just appreciate you joining us today, Melissa.
Absolutely.
Any final words? Yeah, thank you. All right, everybody, we'll be back next week with another segment and some special guests. Again, we're focusing between now and the conference. People who are speaking at conference, you'll get to get a little sneak peek of what they're talking about and be able to meet them here before you see them there. So again, thank you for joining us, everybody, and have a great rest of your week. Bye.